Today, let's dive into a topic that comes up pretty frequently for newer real estate investors when they're thinking about conversion projects. Should you go with a 2-unit or a 3-unit conversion? Well, if you are thinking about converting a property into multiple units to maximize cash flows and values, this video will help you understand more so the pros and cons of each. But before we dive in, do us a quick favor, hit that like button, subscribe for more real estate investing tips, and if you do want to talk one-on-one about your Toronto real estate investing journey, feel free to book a call with us. First off, let's talk about the Ontario Building Code and how it applies differently to 2 versus 3-unit conversions. Now, for 2-unit conversions or houses with secondary suites or duplex conversions, all these essentially mean the same thing in Toronto. You have a bit more flexibility in terms of ceiling height. What you can do is you can actually get away with ceiling heights of around 6 feet 5 inches. So a lot more older houses in Toronto with shorter basements can qualify without underpinning, which can add a lot of cost to get to that 6 foot 11 inch requirement for 3-unit or triplex conversion basements. And you also don't have to worry as much about egress requirements for 2 units. Most houses already have 2 separate entrances typically, and that generally is all you need for 2-unit conversions. Even if you are adding a basement unit and you're going with a shared exit route, the second exit can actually be a window. So this is going to save you more money and give you less headaches compared to adding an extra exit that is required for 3 units. Now, when it comes to HVAC requirements, there's also less that you need to change for 2 units. It would be a lot easier to meet the airflow requirements and also the fire safety requirements when it comes to 2 units as opposed to 3. Now, time is also money, so if we factor this in as well, 2-unit conversions also come out on top. They do qualify for the fast track approval process in Toronto, which usually turns around in a couple of weeks in Toronto, which is much quicker compared to the 1 or 2 month wait for 3-unit conversions in Toronto. 2-unit conversions are also pretty straightforward, so you can probably get away with skipping zoning reviews, which also shaves time on the permitting process. So if you are trying to keep costs low and move more quickly, a 2-unit conversion might be the way to go here. Now, let's talk about numbers a bit more. The cost difference between a 2-unit conversion and a 3-unit conversion isn't actually that big, but when you're looking at cash flows, things do shift quite a lot. Let's say you're doing a $140K conversion on a 2-unit property. You're pulling in around $3,600 a month from the bigger top unit and $1,700 from the basement unit. And so after operating expenses, you are looking at a 4.5% cap rate on a $1.14 million project. And the good news here is that you're still cash flowing positive around $500 a month before refinancing. On the other hand, with a 3-unit conversion costing you around $170,000, you'd be getting 3 units of rent, $2,500 from both the first floor and second floor units and $1,700 from the basement unit. So after expenses, you are looking at a higher cap rate of 5.7% on a $1.17 million project. What this means is that you end up getting much better cash flows with that 3-unit conversion, and with more cash flows and a higher cap rate, qualifying for refinancing and being able to carry that bigger loan becomes easier. You'd still be positive cash flowing after refinancing with 3 units, which does reduce the carrying cost when you're working on that backyard house or investing in your next property with the cashed out funds. So let's talk about value add next, which ends up making up a big bulk of returns for many real estate investors in the low-rise space. Well, here's the deal. 2-unit conversions appeal to a wider audience, end users, and investors. And so in a hot market, especially those in great locations, 2-unit properties can actually be pretty desirable and they can command a higher price when it comes to time to sell. For 3-unit conversions, these tend to be more investor-driven purchases, and investors typically focus on cap rates and returns, and so the valuation might actually be lower compared to what an end user might pay. So the 2-unit setup could win here. Now here's a little bit of a bonus. If you are adding that backyard house accessory dwelling unit ADU, setbacks don't need to be as big when your main house has just 2 units instead of 3. So what this means is that with a 2+1 conversion, you might be able to build a slightly bigger ADU for the same cost compared to a 3+1. As of February of 2025, if your main house is a single family or a duplex, then you only need a 4-meter setback when you build a 1-story backyard house. But with a triplex in the front, that setback ends up jumping to 5 meters for a 1-story build. So in some cases, that extra requirement can be the deciding factor on whether an ADU is even possible. Either way, a bigger ADU means higher rents and better cash flows, and that ends up being another win for the 2+1 setup. All right, so should you go with a 2-unit or a 3-unit conversion then? Well, I hate to break it to you, but there really is no clear-cut answer. It still depends on your goals. If you're house hacking and you need more space, or if you're focused on maximizing your values, then a 2-unit conversion might be the better choice. It's a simpler process, approvals are faster, it is slightly cheaper, and in a hot market, you could see a bigger bump when you sell. But if your priority is to maximize cash flow and generally get a lower risk investment, then a 3-unit conversion would probably be the way to go. You would get a better balance of value add and rental income, plus it is easier to carry the cost of refinancing for future projects like building that backyard house when you already have 3 units that are positive cash flowing in the main house. But if you're still not sure which route makes the most sense for you, that's where we come in. We specialize in multiplex investments in Toronto, and we're here to help you make the best decision based on math and facts. Whether you're looking for a turnkey multiplex or you want one to renovate into multiple units, we can help you make the best decision using solid numbers and facts. Here's what it's like to work with us. First, we'll get to know your goals, then dive into the numbers and find you the best opportunities, and eventually we'll help you secure the right one for you. After you buy it, we'll connect you to reliable contractors and coach you as you manage your project. And once your renovations are done, we can help with leasing and property management too. Ready to take the next step? Just head over to this link here and let's chat.